for human angle training stories, geosuggest from social media, newspaper review and lots more. Stay tuned. I am Zika Onuma and this is Morning Rave. Our focus on today's topic on our Let's Talk segment, we're looking at the Southern Cameroon crisis. Now, of course, we've always had this balance, be your brother's keeper. Now, a lot of times, some Nigerians, some of us are unaware of what's happening, you know, in neighboring countries. Southern Cameroon, I beg your pardon, has been facing a lot of crisis in terms of who would lead the other person. Now, of course, we have a government who wants to Cameroon was actually colonized by two superpowers, the France and the British. Now, the British part is facing, what I call it, annihilation, you know, and the French part wants to actually take them over. But they are standing on their ground and saying, no, we want to be independent. But we have a guest in the studio who will tell us more about this crisis. He's a Cameroonian, and yes, he's right here to tell us more about the crisis going on. Welcome back to our Let's Talk segment, and today we're looking at the Southern Cameroon crisis, and we have Eric FEBSAR. He's an advocate and activist for liberation of the Southern Cameroon. You're welcome, Eric, to the show.
Thank you. Welcome.
Now, just a brief background that the second president of Cameroon is Paul Biya, and he's been there since 1982, and that leaves it 35 years of ruling in Cameroon. People choose to call it ruling and not leading. But Eric will tell us more about, will I call it the marginalization? What we saw, the video we saw play out now, was that a lot of generals have come from the, the French part of Cameroon and not the southern part of Cameroon. Can you give us a background of what's happening in the southern Cameroon, the crisis going there?
Yeah, thank you. The video that I just played is talking about marginalization.
Yeah.
And marginalization is really not the main concern as far as this crisis
is concerned.
In what I would call the Cameroons. I would not like to call it Cameroon because if you follow the historical precedents, you understand what I am talking about. This video is talking about marginalization, and marginalization is just an additional aspect to the historical failure, the historical breach that took place when the two peoples came together in 1961. Because for the sake of clarity, these two peoples came together in 1961 because 20% of this country, this geopolitical entity called Cameroon, was made up of, or it's made up of English-speaking people.
That's the Anglo-Saxons.
Anglo-Saxon, good. Okay. And that was, they had a mandate by the League of Nations by then. Okay. Yeah, from 1922. So it was the mandate, and they had the mandate by Britain. Britain was given the mandate by the League of Nations to administer this territory to self-government. Okay. And the League of Nations by then gave France also the mandate to administer the French-speaking part, which is 80% of the country, to self-government. So that was the mandate that took place, and until 1945, when the League of Nations died and the United Nations was born, it metamorphosed from mandated territories to trust territories. Okay. So it was the same mission, to prepare them for self-government. So unfortunately, it happened, and 1961 came. A plebiscite was conducted by the United Nations anyway. Do you wish, this was a question put to the people of the Southern Cameroons. We call it Southern Cameroons. We insist with the S.
Right, with an S.
Yeah, the former British Southern Cameroons, because there were two Cameroons, even between when Britain had her own portion. It was further divided into British Northern Cameroons and British Southern Cameroons. So separate plebiscites were conducted for the separate Cameroons, or British Cameroons. And the northern part voted massively to join Nigeria. Yeah, that was in 1959. And today they form the Adamawa states, Taraba states, and some part of Borno states. So they are in Nigeria, at least enjoying the dividends of federation. Unfortunately for the people of the Southern Cameroons, a plebiscite came as well, and they voted to join Cameroon, the French-speaking part, or Cameroon, Republic of Cameroon, or La République du Cameroun.
Yeah, in
French. In the French version of it. So they voted to join La République du Cameroun, which was already an independent country. What I am saying is 1961, 11 February. Cameroon, with OUN, had independence 1st January 1960. With defined boundaries, defined delimitations, and registered as a member of the United Nations. That year, September 1960, that same year, without the Southern Cameroons, or the British Southern Cameroons. Nigeria, independence 1st October 1960, without the British Southern Cameroons. So we were left in the middle.
You guys were left in the middle.
In the middle. That is why the question now came, the plebiscite question came. And Nigeria was brought into the mix because Britain decided to administer her own portion, these British Cameroons, together with Nigeria for administrative convenience. So that was done, and for 40 years, we were under Nigeria, the Eastern Regional House, based in Enugu by then. It was until 1953 that the Eastern Regional crisis broke out, when Nnamdi Azikiwe and the Iyoita were in the play. When it broke out, our 9 representatives at the Eastern Regional House at Enugu cried foul because of what suddenly developed, the Igbophobia. Igbophobia, because we were seeing a lot of marginalization. What we are crying
what is the crying about?
Yeah, we were seeing a lot of domination, this domineering spirit from the Igbo. So the Igbophobia developed, and they decided to march out of the Eastern Regional House in Enugu. And from 1954, this Eastern Regional crisis took place 1953, take note. And from 1954, we became an autonomous state. And it ran like that till the 1961 that the plebiscite came. An autonomous state, semi-autonomous status.
Now, in that 60s, at that point, when that plebiscite was held, and you joined, Cameroon, that's the larger Cameroon, it was expected that from then on, that part was became Cameroon since you joined.
Since you joined them.
Since you joined them. Now, what is the problem since now? Because what we have been reading out from the news, even since last year, is that that certain parts of Cameroon wants to secede from Cameroon itself. Now, why you agreed to join that at that time when the plebiscite was held? What is the problem? Why do you want to secede now?
Okay, before I answer your question, it is important to note that because it has a lot of it is widely misconstrued, especially by the international community or non-Cameroonians, in quotes. The Southern Cameroons that we call is not geographically the southern part of the country called Cameroon.
Okay.
It is the southern